SFE Land and Cattle Hat.
Yeah, we see you. We see you. It's not Dodge. What you say? It's not Dodge. Oh, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. I am now recording. This is Tameka Peoples and the Legacy Innovation Farming and Economics Group, Legacy Farming and Health Group presentation that we do every third Thursday of the month, where we bring in speakers to really open up our aperture on what we can do in farming, group collective economics, and just tips and things that we can use to be more successful as farmers and consumers in the Black farming game. So I'm here with a lot of other people. I will go around and let those introduce, but we do have a guest speaker today, Mr. Corey Lea of SF Land and Cattle Company, and he is going to be talking about his company and the membership-based organization he's set up in order to buy direct meat from Black farmers. And then he's going to go into some tips and resources, and then take the discussion a little bit deeper as well into other areas. So Mr. Lea, please, small introduction.
Yeah. Well, my name is Corey Lea, and I founded SFE Land and Cattle Company, and basically we're an organization that we process beef and now pork, and we're working on a deal with chicken. But also I have I founded an organization and another platform called the Soul Food Exchange, and that basically is to help row crop farmers sell directly to the consumers. And so, we try to be well-rounded and to, so our whole goal is to increase the profit for farmers and show you how to get out of the traditional way of farming and to farm for profit, to maximize your profits. And also, I'm the founding member of the Cowtown Foundation, and I represent farmers on claims against the USDA at the administrative level. And so when I had this invitation, first and foremost, I'd like to thank y'all for inviting me to talk on this. So there's a couple of things, if y'all have a little time, that I'd like to get into, and we can start at the here and now. So, with this COVID-19 going on, it's a perfect time to reset. There's opportunities out there, because at the end of the day, people have changed their buying habits. And so now what we have found is, generally people have gotten lazy, or they don't want to go to the supermarket. And here's an opportunity to present yourself in a very professional manner and to capitalize and cut out all the middlemen. I don't know if this is well known, but there are about 7 companies that control 90% of the commodities. So basically, they're playing games with everybody. Beef is in the stores at an all-time high, and cattle at the market is almost at an all-time low. There's a problem somewhere. And so, and what they do is, like, they'll create a shortage in corn. Well, we don't have any corn to feed them, so we can't give you, maximum amount of money for livestock, or the soybeans. All kinds of games that get played every 3 years. And if you pay attention to what's going on, hopefully that our platform will work. And like I spoke a little earlier before we went live in recording, is that we as Black farmers, we have got to learn to stick together. And let me give you a disclaimer first. This conversation is not going to be for the thin skin, because this is a conversation that must be had. I've been in this game for a while, from the representing the Black farmers to producing, and now, I guess a little bit of it all. And if I had to take a focal point and say, hey, we've got a universal problem, where do we need to start to fix that problem? And where I found is the first thing we must do is first look in the mirror. And the reason why I say that is that, for example, not long ago, I had a rather large organization in the South get in touch with me. And my organization it's a membership organization, but we'll be able to like to sell beef at 2018 prices. Well, basically that same model comes from Costco, to where you get everything cheaper, but you pay a membership fee in order so they can survive to be able to sell you things at wholesale. It's a great concept. Well, it's proven because they've been in business for quite some time. Same way with Sam's Club. And so, organization would call me, we talk for over a month or so, and they've got close to 3,000 members. Well, our organization fees, it's $500 for the whole organization. So you're talking literally pennies, for everybody in the organization to kick out to come up with $500 so we can keep things going. So we went round and round 2 or 3 weeks, and it all came down to the head of our organization don't want our organization to pay the $500 fee. And I said, this is something in business that often decapitates Black business owners, because our community goes to a Black business and they want you to give the whole house for nothing. They don't realize that the Black business owner, they have bills too. And so you have no problem going to the gas station and to support the Arabs. You have no problem going into a restaurant and support the larger community. But when it comes to your community, he can't make a dime. I don't know if that's a trait that we can get past. I have no idea, but we got to first start there. But also, I am so thankful for organizations like yours here that you're taking, I consider y'all leaders, because you're willing to network, you're willing to find out what can we do to make every minority farmer prosperous. I'm all for that. And so I won't go too deep in that. Someone ask any questions about that.
So can we ask Mr. Lee, can you talk a bit about the process for you? Because I know traditionally, right, with cattle farmers, there's normally you have to go to main processing centers to take your cows or pigs or what have you, and then normally that processing center they honestly control what happens next, right? From how much they're going to give you per pound, right? Once you give it to them, how does yours work? Can you explain how SFE Cattle really thought about this and said, listen, we have to figure out how to cut. Hey, they're connecting right to our customers. We're not. We need to figure out that piece, and then the processing piece we can only control once we get to it. Can you talk a little bit about that?
That's pretty easy. That's pretty easy.
Yes, sir.
So at the end of the day, if you own cattle, between your farm to when you take that cattle to the market, and I'm gonna give you the traditional way, by the time it leaves your farm and gets to the end user, which is the consumer, there are about 6 people in the middle. Okay. So what we have done is that we cut all of the 6 out in the middle. So basically, we take cattle and we go straight to the processing plant. So you pay the fee to have them processed, and then we have a platform to where our community or anybody can buy the beef directly from the farmer. And it's not that hard of a process, like in today's time right now. So if you were to take a 1,200 pound animal, you have it harvested, and then by the time they harvest it, there's about 700 to 750 pounds of what we call hanging weight. That's the actual meat that you can have cut up into, whatever cut you want, and get it out to the consumers. Okay, now the USDA takes the liability out of it, because when you sell to consumers, they have to inspect it. Okay, so when the animal comes in, they inspect it. And when the animal is harvested, they inspect it at the processing plant. So your beef is no different than when you go to your local supermarket it's all inspected by the same USDA inspectors. Okay, so the processing plants, the prices are going to vary anywhere between $400 and $600 to process an animal. Okay, now if you're the farmer, why would you want to settle for $500 for that same cow now? And if you put just a little bit more money with it, say $500, and so you got, you know, $500 invested, and by the time you part that cow out and have it, and you've got a customer base, you're going to get on the average of $6 per pound for that same cow. Mm-hmm. What they have done, and this is for all farmers, they have fooled everybody to thinking that the only way that you can get rid of that animal and make money is to take it to the livestock, to the market. And so if anybody's ever been to a livestock market when they're selling cattle, there's always 3 or 4 people sitting there that it seems like they're buying up everything that comes through there. And they'll come in sometimes in a herd of 10, and, you know, and an auctioneer knows who to call on. They're running up $1.50 a pound and take 10. Only thing those guys are doing is buying cattle to be sent out to feedlots to be finished, and the feedlots are taking them to the big processing plants in the Midwest and selling it off, and that's where your meat's coming from. Mm-hmm. So, with that being said, you've got all these mom and pop operations around the country. Their meat is inspected by the same inspectors. Mm-hmm. They got certain days they harvest animals. Those inspectors go there. You know, it's inspected. They put it in whatever cuts that you want out of it. They package it. You pay them, and it goes out the door. So let's get back to the profit part, because I think that's what you're trying to. You know.
Yes, sir.
So if you had, just say on the average of $500, instead of selling that animal for $500, come up with another $500 and produce $3,000-$4,000. So you see where you're at now. So what you would have made at $500, you basically could do, if you would do the work that we've done, mm-hmm. you make it 6 times the amount of money. That's just like increasing your herd size 5 to 6 times with no different cost, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. So can you, you said we, so how many collection of farmers or part of, cattle farmers, excuse me, are part of your collective? And kind of talk to us a little bit about the, I guess, membership or direct buy structure.
Okay, as far as the cattle, right now, they're, as I said earlier before we came live, there are not a lot of black ranchers that want to go on a commercial scale, and the ones that are there, I still have a little work to do of convincing them that my money is as good as anybody else's. Mm-hmm. And if you will listen to me, I will show you how to make more money and not, you know, be a product of a system that never was meant for you. If the small white farmer can't make it, you know you're gonna have some challenges. That's how it is. Roger that. And so I also get cattle from the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. So you're buying futures, gotcha. And buy them under contract. So those cows are graded twice. They're no different than anything that you can grow out at your house. Gotcha. But I can get what I need and have it taken straight to the processor, and I don't have to touch it at all.
Nice. So you act as a lead distributor and finally got you. Uh-huh. Now your member model, and am I saying this correctly? Is it a membership based model, or could I, for instance, I want to get and I want to order me, you know, some top sirloin steaks, and I'm in California, right? Mm-hmm. I come in. Do I come to your site, sign up, become a member? Walk me through that, how you came up with the member model and what that looks like for the end user.
So this is what I've done for the member models.
Yes.
Okay, just say that you have a family. So we'll just say a single family, you know, 5, 6, 7, how many people you have in your family. So we charge $49 for a year. Okay. And why I did that was, if you go to the supermarket now, you can pay up $15 for a T-bone. Well, if I can save you that same T-bone for, $6, then, basically if you ordered for, 8 steaks, you've recouped that, that the $49 for a year. Well, what that allows is for me to pay bills, make a small profit, and allows you to not have to, like, man, things are tough. I don't want to pay $15 for steaks.
Mm-hmm.
I still want to kind of live the way I was living, but I can get food for a whole year, and you don't have to get it at one time, but I can get food, through this company, cheaper at more than half price off.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're building a network.
So this is like the Omaha steak model, right? If any of you all are familiar, Omaha, Nebraska is very well known for their steaks. And Omaha Steak, you could go in and you create a membership account. I know I'm an ex-military, so I have a lot of people who, it don't matter where they're at in the nation. They have Omaha Steak accounts and memberships, and they just get their meat delivered to them, right? It shows up once a month. They know what they want. They know what they eat. So, Mr. Lea, what it sounds like to me is what you did is you looked at these models, right, and said, well, I'm a Black cattle farmer, right? Well, we can create this same model, and in places like Illinois and Chicago and Detroit, and we talked about this, right, Quinn, where we're seeing all of these issues where people are wrapped around the line. You're going in, meat's now like $60 a pound. You can't even get hamburger meat, no beef, no. But our ranchers are saying, listen, we got food, right? So in these instances, we need to be thinking about or encouraging people or members, consumers, to think about the membership hubs that are Black owned and operated, and we can source from and still get the same quality of stuff without necessarily having to walk into the supermarket, which we know are controlled by these structural, sometimes entities that is just feeding these big boy legacy companies, right? Mm-hmm. You have SFE Land and Cattle. You could sign up to become a member. You can get your food, your meat, if you will. You sound like you're doing pork soon here and some chicken. It's the same model, family. It's the, Omaha steaks, Nebraska steaks didn't get famous because people said, nah, that's too much. I'm not going with y'all. I'll go ahead and keep buying at the local grocery store. They say, yep, all these ranchers, we can buy from you directly, set up a model, I'll become a member, and I'll get what I need. So talk a little bit about how you plan on recruiting, outside of coming into groups like this, more members to start purchasing your beef.
Well, it's going to take organizations like yours, because as bad as it sounds, as bad as it seems, is that we've got a lot of work to do in our community, a lot of work. And I'm not saying it to be derogatory. I'm telling you because I've put my life on hold in these farmers. Mm-hmm. And watch Black farmers in particular, the things that they have endured through the years for no fault of their own, other than you're Black and we're going to do whatever we're going to take, because it's all about the land. Mm-hmm. Land, that's a symbol of wealth. Yes. And it's a symbol of power. And so my stake in the game is a little deeper than the surface. And so my thing is that I don't know if you've ever had to watch a 70 or 80-year-old farmer break down and cry because he doesn't know what's happening to him. He doesn't know why they're trying to take everything he's worked all his life for. He doesn't understand why this land's been in their family for generations, mid 1800s in some cases. And all of a sudden, they want to take it because he doesn't have a deed for it or don't know what a deed is. Look at things happen at courthouses. I could tell you horror story after horror story. Yes, and that man or that woman cry because he feels like he's a failure, it just does something in my heart. Mm. And God has placed something on me, man. You just don't know. I feel like, I feel like Jeremiah, fire shot up my bones. And when I realized that was my calling,
yes, sir.
And no matter what, see it through, seeing all this other stuff is added on to you.
Absolutely.
And I'm smarter than anybody else. I'm just sitting there watching what everybody, with the companies like Omaha, like as you spoke of, this is the same model they use. Then you take Costco, but now you come out now and you can take UPS, get a commercial account, and I can put your meat on dry ice and send it anywhere in the lower 48 and be there in 2 days.
Amen. Right. They've broken it up such that you can be your own manufacturer and distributor. You can be what we call in industry is the tier one. Mm-hmm. Industry is broken up into 3 tiers. Yep. Tier 1 and tier 2 is at the top of that pyramid family, right? So that's the landowners, the distributors, the people who make product and can get it out at masses. What you're saying, what SFE Land and Cattle Company is, you are tier 1 distributor for meat, and you're adding multiple types of meat, right? So now when we start to talk about the real, what we call food deserts and distribution models of the future, right? Post COVID-19, because we know it's changed the way we have to think about distribution and food in the US. We know that, right? So now this is an actual real option and a real solution that you put in place. And how long did it take you to go from, and I've been watching your work, right? You got a lot of fans, fans and silent followers in the room, right? So can you talk to us about how long it took you to go from concept to what we're seeing here? And I'm sharing screen so people can get a sense of the company and the site and where to go. But how long did that take?
I'm going to be honest with you.
Still going, huh?
God did that all in about 2 weeks. And I literally was asleep one night. I'm not kidding. And like, I tell people when I do work on, stuff, on the legal aspect, I can literally sleep sometimes, and it's like I'll feel something come over me, and it will wake me up out of the bed, and it'll put me on the computer, and I can go and find exactly what I want to find. But I know y'all might think I'm some kind of Looney Tune or whatever.
No, it happens to me all the time. But please go ahead.
But I'm laying in the bed, and it's like almost like he whispered in my ear, and and say, look, you do this thing well, but you can't stop there. You need to really lead by example. And so that's how that came up, and that's how the Soul Food Exchange came up. Yes. But now the biggest part is that somehow I need to make connections like this, and we have got to retrain a generation. It's almost like it's a generational curse. Even when you look at the movement now, and you're seeing young people of all nationalities become one. Mm-hmm. And the strangest thing, and Lord, please forgive me what I'm about to say, the strangest thing about this whole movement, the Black Lives Matter, you rarely see any of those young kids that are marching together turn on each other. And you would never have. I mean, you don't get me wrong. You will have some knuckleheads in all groups, but as a whole, you see the black man, you see the brown man, you see the white man, you see the yellow man, and basically it's the poor man that's saying enough is enough. There's got to be a change systemic. Well, this is one of the times that the people at the top are listening, because now you can't say, well, dealing with black people, let them talk. About 2 weeks, they'll shut up and go back in their corner. Mm-hmm. But when the young white kids got in there, then they had a problem, because this is their folks that are thinking that, hey, there needs to be a change down here at the top. I mean, if I'm wrong, correct me.
No, you're speaking the truth, right? And so when we're talking, this is the prime opportunity for us to circle back to the Black land, the Black farmer issue, which we know, right? Because it really was about the land. You dropped some nuggets a little bit earlier, right? But when you control the land, you control the world. But that's a whole other conversation, right? So, but what you're saying is this is now more than just a moment. It's a movement, and it's an opportunity for us to reconfigure this Black land, Black farm, Black distribution model and concept right now in this moment, because we're at that opportune time where the shift is here. What kind of moment and what kind of movement are we going to create out of this shift? You model Omaha Steaks, right? There's a lot of other enterprise models we can be thinking about for our Black farmers, but this is one example, if you ask me, of how you do that, right? And there's a lot of other collectives we can talk about, but for this instance of, cattle, direct to customer, membership model, this is that instance. So it took you 2 weeks. You have some farmers who are part of the collective, but say there is a farmer who hears this and sees this and says, how do I get my cattle as a part of your collective or your membership company? How does that happen?
Well, my numbers, it should be on the website somewhere, at least the email. And as even, I guess, communicating with you over the last couple of weeks, I will always do what I say I'm going to do.
Yes.
And I don't never say, you know what, I don't have time to deal with you. I will tell you that you need to remind me because I got so much stuff going on, but I will make time to talk to anybody. Even on Facebook, that group of Black farmers nationwide, I think it's Black Farmers Nationwide. I've watched that membership grow from 4,000 to a little over 12,000 Black farmers now. That is a great place to start, but even in that group, you've got some people that are serious about farming and that want to farm for profit. Then you've got a lot of people that are just gardeners.
Sure, they're not. Sure.
They're having a great time posting pictures of 2 or 3 tomatoes. That's all well and good, but you got to first remove thyself and not think about, hey, I grew a tomato. Now you got to say, I grow a tomato. Now, how can I feed my neighbor's kid? Not my kid. How can I feed my neighbor's kid? Mm-hmm. And when we can all take on that mentality, that's when I think we all can become one. But we've got way too many chiefs and not enough Indians. And everybody is so into themselves. And it's like, hey, y'all, we got a common goal. And until we can get our stuff together, they're going to keep dividing and conquering us. What are you going to do? Yeah. I'm all for every person to make it the right way. I'll listen to anybody. If they have something useful, I'll listen. But I'm only going to talk about our people right now. We've got so much silliness and so many people that, like, for example, I can share that website in that same group. And there will be 20 people that like it. And then you're going to have 5 people, like clockwork, will come in there, they're going to question how things are done. They're going to question, well, how much money do you make? Yeah, it's like, okay, did you call up Jeff Bezos on Amazon and ask him, did he make one single?
I know.
That kind of silliness right there has to stop. It has to stop. And I hate to get bogged down, but man, it hurts my soul when our folks question everything about our own folks. And for no reason, instead of saying, you know what, this is something that might be worthwhile. Might not be for me, but might be worthwhile. But we value too much the opinion of people that really don't matter, like entertainers and things like that. Instead of say, you know what, we've got leaders in our community, or well, that's not even called leaders. people that are willing to go the extra mile to create a model to say, hey, we need to, you don't necessarily have to come a member of my group, but we need to change our way of thinking. Those are the people we need to put more value on it, but we're more concerned about Will and Jada, you know, oh man, they cheated on each other. Man, do you know what's going on right now?
Right.
You know,
right.
these people are trying to take, you know, get you off your phone. You know, let's not get caught up in stuff that doesn't matter. And I watch Roland Martin a lot. And it's a great platform for news because now you can see with professional Black people and specialists in certain areas to see what they have to say. Because if you can control the narrative, you can control the people. So when COVID and all this comes on, even though Viacom owns BNT, all the Black, so-called Black stations are supposed to be focused on Black community. That's showing TikTok. It's like, man, this thing is real. We need to find out. We don't have any Black doctors that can talk about this. You know, our problem is we're so easily led. I can take a bucket of feed and walk 1,000 head of cattle from Tennessee to Kansas with a bucket of feed. Same thing that's happening. You know, I watch, you know, some people talking about, man, my mom, granddaddy's got some wild cows and yada, 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 and they run all over the place. But all you gotta do is walk slow and put a bucket of feed out there. Follow you anywhere you want to go. I do it every day.
So it sounds like, so your answer is to change the mentality and start with groups like this, like-minded people. And you're in a circle of like-minded people with visions and organizations and their goals, whether it be you know, because you have some end product people in the room, right? Which, you know, that might be me, right? And Chef Joseph and a few others, right? But then you have some serious, no kidding, ranchers in this room looking at this model and says, listen, you know, this is something we got to try to figure out how to make work, think about what the collective can mean to the Black farming community, and then how do we get others a part of, right? Because at the end of the day, yes, you want to source from Black cattle farmers, but really you want to feed your people, right? And you want to cut out all these steps and so they can get fed. And I definitely know, I know you're in the room of individuals who are really, really interested in that. And what I would like to do, I know we certainly asked people to go on mute, and we definitely try to respect that hour time, but I definitely want to open it up for questions, because I've led all the questions and you definitely gave us some jewels. But is there anyone in the line in the room who has a question for Mr. Lea about not just about SFE land and cattle, but about, you know, all the other work that he does? Any other questions in the room? No, I've been
Yeah, I got a question.
Everything. Hey, Gabriel, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, I really appreciate you coming on, Mr. Lea. In fact, I was in the process of signing up to become a member of your collective there. I ran into some issues with the payment piece, so maybe we can work that out a little bit later. But a couple of reasons why I wanted to join, and biggest reason is I want to support Black companies, Black organizations, Black farmers especially. In addition to that, I believe that the only way we will become successful as a people is if we collaborate. And no better person than to start with myself. So I'm looking forward to being a member of your group. But not only that, I really think that the infrastructure of this country, and I think COVID-19 exposed us quite a bit as far as the infrastructure is not as solid as we all seem to think it is in terms of shipping or production. There's been a lot of cases in meat factories, so it would behoove us to have alternative methods and not always depend on the status quo as far as where we get our food from. So that's another reason why I wanted to have another maybe tertiary way to get meat to my family, as opposed to always relying on the supermarkets that might be overrun by people who are panicking, or maybe there's a incident at one of the major meat companies and they shut down all of the packaging companies as a precaution. So then where do we get our meat from? So that's another reason why I decided to join your collective. So maybe later, I don't know if there's an issue with the website now, but I just tried to use a couple of different cards and they didn't work.
I think what has happened is that the guy just put the holes on there and he forgot to take it out of test mode and flip it over. I'm gonna send him a text. As soon as we get off this, hey, flip this thing back off test mode. And I'm sorry about that, but you know, I'm not a web guy. I mean, even though I put all that together, but the technical stuff there, that's not my thing. I know just enough. I won't tell you what I want, but all that other stuff, you can't be blessed at everything.
just enough to be dangerous. We'll get fixed, and I'll tell you what, I'm definitely going to sign up to be a member as well. Thank you, Gabriel. Great question, great comment.
Is it Gabriel in Atlanta? The guy that just spoke? Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
Yes, sir.
Down in Atlanta, you guys have a commissioner of agriculture down there named Gary Black. He has tried to do multiple things to help the black farmers in Georgia. And let me tell you how I know. I've got a lot of clients that I represent in South Georgia. And so I got a call one day and say, hey, can you be in Atlanta in 2 or 3 days? And he really didn't tell me what the deal was. But anyway, it ended up being at some big electric company down there. And I get in there, I'm the only black person in there. I mean, big mahogany table that's in a huge shape and some real power players in there. And what they was talking about was bringing a large processing plant to Georgia. And he brought me there because he knew that I was kind of on top of things. And he just wanted to include the black farmers, and how could I get the message to the black farmers? Because Fort Valley State down there has a processing plant that's actually nicer than the ones up at Athens, Georgia. Mm. And so, and I know some of the folks in the Fort Valley. And so here recently, I called him up and said, hey, I need to get some salad process down there. I've got some people that want to buy some food down in the South. It goes back to what I said from the start. We as a people don't have to cut this foolishness out. For example, you've got a nice processing facility. You're in a state-run place. The state is willing to put more money into your school if you will step it up. But you have become complacent. Well, we probably process about 3 a week. Now, you're not getting it, bro. 3 a week is not going to feed those people out of it. The state is willing to include you and to give you more money to step up your processing, but your thinking is not right.
Got it.
And you take a hub like Atlanta that has a whole lot of things. There is no reason a black restaurant shouldn't have the option of being able to get into the food game with having very few black suppliers. Does that make sense?
No, so Mr. Lee, just a quick comment. When you lean, I guess, to the right or the left, sometimes your mic is kind of cutting out and it's hard to hear you. So lean a little bit to, right there. Yeah, we can hear you good right there. Sorry, I know that's weird. We can hear you good there, brother. When you get animated, we're like, we're trying to bend our ears to hear you better. So, no, you're right. What ends up happening is, and I don't know if this is the same. Oh, sorry. We have TJ, Mr. TJ Jamerson, which is John Jamerson's brother, has a question. Please go ahead, TJ. Come on off mute, brother. We're ready to hear your question.
Thank you for coming in to talk with the group here. There was a question, though. I think you started out on this. You said that most farmers, if they have cattle, black farmers will take them, I'm assuming, to the stockade to sell them. And you, if they go straight to the processor, are trying to teach them how they can get more money from their cattle. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, you're 100% correct. You have to think that the average black farmer is going to have 15 to 25 head. of cattle. You're going to have some that's going to, maybe have 100, 130. But the model, can y'all hear me pretty good now?
I can hear you.
Yes,
fine.
sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you. Yes, good.
Okay, and so, but what they have been taught is to have what they call the cow-calf operation, and basically have 50, 60 calves a year, grow them up to 400 to 600 pounds, and then take them to livestock market where, you can, those couple buyers that I talked about earlier, going to sit there and buy them and send them off over to the Midwest. Well, why do that? Because if you can take every Black community in the country, and if you're producing, say, even 10 calves a year, then that could represent, $40,000 if you grew them out to 1,200 pounds. And most of us are religious, and the people at the church will actually buy from you. They don't have to be a member of my organization. This is something that they can do on their own. And that's what, and I encourage everybody to cut that middleman out. In today's time, technology allows you to do that. Sell directly to the end user. I mean, why sit there? Because I just read a statistic the other day, is that the average Black farmer makes $40,000 less than the white farmers under the same circumstances. That's a whole lot of money to be given up.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I will talk to anybody and show them how to do it. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's not the hardest thing in the world to how to make that happen. All you have to do is find a local processor. Take your orders in advance. Find out how the people want to cut up. In fact, I went to the dentist office the other day, and I got into a conversation with the guy. The dentist went to Hampton. I graduated from North Carolina A&T, and so we talked about college football for 30 minutes, whatever, get on the TV. And he says, they split a hog, and then they split beef with a group, a buying group, every year, which I thought was great. And I said, so we got a little bit more into the conversation. And he says, well, I want to talk to my group to see if I'm buying it from you, because I broke the same process down, and they put dollars and cents to it. He said, well, your way is probably a little bit cheaper than the way we're doing it. And I said, well, that's fine. I mean, even if you want to buy the cow from me, there is so much business out there that can be made. I'm okay.
Right. So what you're saying is, as direct to customer for the farmer, any type of farmer is probably where you really want to be. And in the cattle game, you figured out this expedient methodology to direct to customer, and it's really member based. Understand how much people are going to order, what they're going to order, and then from there you can backwards calculate how much beef you're going to need, and then from there it's going to be about bringing on the right amount of beef into your membership model, right? Is that what we believe we hear? Okay, TJ, did that answer your question?
It did. I've got others, but I'll probably try to get offline.
Okay, no, we can. Yeah. Here, we have some more time.
I'm asking for a particular reason, out of curiosity. Can I ask one more question, please? And I'm not trying to count your money. I'm just, from a membership model perspective, where's your goal to grow to?
Well, I will tell you like this, from the membership model perspective, like I was telling Tameka earlier. So if the family paid $49, okay, and just say if you had 1,000 families across the country, well, that's $50,000 before you ever sold the first steak. In Black business, most of the time we are underfunded or undercapitalized, and so the little things causes hiccups. Well, the membership model really helps because you can advertise with that money. You can, just say if you bought a load of cattle on the Chicago exchange, well, that would pay for a load of cattle, and before, and then so you could cut the prices because you got somebody to send it to. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. And so it's not really, from the standpoint of that's how you're making all your money, but you know, it's a little tougher for black farmers or this black business in general to be able, if things got into a log jam, to go to a bank and say, hey, I need a credit line for $250,000. And so that's what that helps out. I see Joe Tutt from Fort Worth down in Texas.
Yeah, I'm here, man. I'm a little late. Sorry about that.
No problem.
That man right there, Tameka.
No,
sir. Can't escape him.
That's all good. Any other? I thought I saw a hand up by Gabe, but Mr. Tutt, do you have a question? I'm happy to take your question. We're here getting down towards the end. I want to definitely kind of wrap it up and give out some context. You okay?
I'm good. I've been chopping up with my man for a minute, so I was already trying to hustle up some wholesalers. And so
I would say this right here. The only reason why I called him out, I saw it pop up. I enjoy having conversations with Joe because Joe's a numbers guy. And you need those kind of people who will sit there, you know, and you know, when you have a conversation with him, he'll always refer to himself, I said, Joe. And I always laugh every time he says that. But a guy that's a numbers guy serves as a checks and balance to every conversation. And that makes it, you know, it makes it more viable because I mean, Joe gets talking with, you know, he got the biggest college, you know, Western land, in fact, I would say in the country. I was like, man, I ain't even got a pocket to put them things in. And, but he sits there and does the numbers. But then when you watch him do his, I saw him do a couple videos on Facebook. I said, you missed your collars. You almost had me buying collars, but before you even put them in the ground, because he's got that thing you can't buy in stores. You're naturally attracted to what he's saying.
Absolutely.
That's a black farmer that's going to go for it. You see what I'm saying? He doesn't ask questions like, well, why should I buy beef from you? I don't ask questions like, why should I buy collars from you? Our conversation is how can we train the rest of the people to think like we do? Does that make sense?
That makes complete sense. Complete sense. Gabe, did you have another question? I saw that your hand was raised. It might be down now. Did we answer your question, Gabe?
Yeah, that was before.
Oh, okay, great. Maybe I just missed the hand. Okay, so I know, Mr. Lee, you said you do a lot of other things, but definitely I've been keeping the website up here. I even dropped it in the chat for our members, for our team, really. Do you have any other kind of questions of us or any collaborative last minute thoughts? And we definitely try to keep these within an hour to respect folks' time and yours. I know you've been going. Any other last minute thoughts or?
Yeah, I would like for you, when you have these, I think you said it was like every third Saturday, like every third Thursday of the month. Send me a reminder because, you know, I want to sit there and listen because at the end of the day, it's up to all of us to work together. Absolutely. And when people are forward thinking, those are the kind of people I want to be around. I like those people that say, you know, I'm not going to ask why it won't work. We need to figure out why it will work. And so I want to stay engaged and in tune with groups like this. And so, you know, I need to learn things myself.
Yes, sir. Well, absolutely. The invite will go out. You're now in our newsletter and mail out list. So you'll get all of the notifications when we do have more speakers and going live. Hold on really quick here. I think trying to keep up with chats. Can we get this? Okay. Yes, I think there was a question about the email address. Yes, Q, we will definitely get his email address. I'll exchange and make sure the Legacy Farming Health Group team has it. But for any of us that are on the line still, and I dropped the website in the chat. It's SFE Land and Cattle Company. Mr. Corey Lea, and of course, you can come on here. You can become a member. I know he said he's going to work out some things with the payment piece of that. And then if you do want to reach out to him, his contact information is in the contact section here. And Mr. Lee, you will definitely be on our list to have you a part of our Thursdays.
Or hit me, and I'll make sure I get it. I get it because we do crazy 5 a.m. phone calls before work, or I get mad because you messed my sleep up and I got 45 minutes for the alarm go off. But I wanted to stress, as someone coming into the business and having to learn the business on my own with no one to talk to me about it, and gambling and buying my equipment and being late on my payments, and having somebody sit there and tell me, you don't have to worry about your credit because you got your company set up. You're a numbers man. So it took him, my ranch manager, and everybody to tell me, don't sweat this, Joe. They're playing checkers, and you're playing chess and don't even know it. And to sit there and I was going to jump in the beef game and talk to him and have somebody school me on what it costs. And I'm looking like, man, I got to spend all this money. And so, when he offered me the opportunity to buy some land, feed the cattle out so they can sell cattle at a profit for Black farmers and ranchers who can't afford, because what I didn't know until a young hog farmer tipped me, these feedlots they're getting free grain from all the distilleries. Corey sent me a price sheet. He said, look, man, this is what they paying. He said, we just cut them out and help our Black farmers and ranchers, because when a man gets on their list, as I spoke to my mentor, you mean tell me they get a settlement from USDA for $50,000? They can no longer participate in any of the programs? He said, well, that's the price they pay. And so I'm like, dog, so $50,000, and you hear the farmers who are real farmers, not like me getting started, who got blessed with some big cows and I get on there and pray and give you an infomercial. But he really taught me of what they're telling you it costs and what it's really costing them. You're paying $6,000 to $7,000 a head for beef. If you look at all the beef you buy, you're paying $6,000 to $7,000. It costs them less than $1,500 because they got it down to the science with the feed. That's why it's all about feed. Every breed got a bucket. That bull steer stick their head in there. They know how many pounds they put in there. They're measuring that joker. They want 3 to 4 pounds a day. So when you hit 1,200, 1,300 pounds, they ship them off. You buy roast, steaks, hamburger meat. You look at all the beef you buy, you're paying $6,000, $7,000 a head. He's gonna show you and other Black farmers how to cut the middleman out, get together by region, and sell beef in your region. This virus deal, I thought it hurt me. In my college, I got young farmers that I said, man, look, I ain't giving you 100 grand. I give you 75. We finna pay this place off in 2 years. Now, we're looking for more land. So now, I'm trying to line cattle up so I can call my man and say, look, I got a truckload now. Show me how to do it.
That's the key.
Yeah, everything that I've heard sounds awesome. I had to disappear for a minute because I got my little market stand out front and had about 10 people come up there and wipe me out, so I had to go out there and fill it back up right quick. But I definitely want to talk to you, Corey, on some ideas that we had. I had a conversation with some guys who are wanting to, who are looking at something similar to that. They're looking at that with grain and stuff like that. And so, would love to see what your ideals are with that and see how, perhaps what you're doing might be able to fit into that opportunity also. Listening to what you were saying from the very beginning about the position of our people, the mindset of our people and everything, you're 100% on. That's what we've been talking about here through our group since we started. One of the first things we sat down to do 4 years ago, basically, we asked, what is the one thing that keeps us from working together? And, everybody put down their list and everybody had on there at some point in time, money. And so our thing was, let's remove money off the table and we're not even going to make that an option. Let's see how we can work together without the money. And so that's how we began to work together, seeing what we could do for someone else and what they can do for us and so on and so forth. And that's basically how we got to where we are today. All these guys on here, you know, they all contribute. Joe, I understand. I know what you mean when you talk about Joe and the numbers. He'll call me up and we'll be on there for a couple hours, and he'll run down how many plants he'll have in an acre, how much money he's gonna make per plant, and everything. So I've learned a lot from him, because I'm like, man, I need to get my stuff down to a science. I'm a numbers man, but I don't know the numbers to the extent that he does. You know, I can do a roundabout figure, but Joe is on the money when he's on here. So I can follow him when he's going through that and everything. And he's got me trying to get my A game to going also. So,
But those numbers are useless if you don't understand the industry.
Right.
And that's what Corey taught me was, you know, how to feed cattle. You know, I thought it was all grass. And my ranch man, we 6 bales on 30 cows. I said, dude, if you remember, we fed 52 6 bales. And so once he taught me that, and then, you know, land is hard to get, and then he understands the industry, because like you said, unless you're an insider, they're not going to tell you.
Yeah.
People trying to sell bulls, they're not going to show you where all it is. Get you a few good sires, you keep track of the DNA. They sit there and watch jokers bid them suckers up for $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 when all they really worth is $1,500, $2,000.
Yep.
That's it. They trying to get the most meat on a carcass. And the guy freaked out. He said, what you want? I said, man, look at that top line, that barrel. He said, where'd you get that from? I said, I got a friend. Because I heard Corey talk about top line and barrel from show cattle, and then when they hang them on the rail. And I was like, huh? Then they had to ask me, explain it to me, then I went and looked at what he was talking about. The longer the body, the longer the rib cage, the more beef. The barrel, the deeper your sirloin, your lower cuts. Most people just want a cow, some calves. My total check was $16,000, $17,000. When I went home, it was $14,000. So now we go to a guy. If I take cattle, it's $25,000. He take out $2 a head for a check off. That's it. But that's because somebody taught me. That man right there taught me the business game on cattle. So now I'm at the point now where I can be what I am, a businessman that loves cattle, and I'm bringing the ranch manager handling the hay and cattle. Now I'm going to bring another guy in. He's going to manage my beef, because he's a restaurant guy. He's a cook, so he knows what they want. I got a guy in Newport that wants 300 pounds a month of beef, and I'm like, man, can we keep up? Now that I got somebody like Corey that taught me the business, now I got a restaurant guy. Okay, the restaurant guy is going to be my systems analyst, so I can tell my ranch guy, got to get in line for the processing, so we can show this guy the roast and the hindquarters for his sausage. And the guy up there's going to show me his Cisco invoices where they robbing him. Man, I'll give you rib tips, beef ribs, sirloin, ribeye, a whole lot cheaper than Cisco.
And this is the perfect, and that's where it's even nurture more cattle ranchers. This is the type of stuff and type of forums we need to be having with those ranchers, because at the end of the day, when we talk about building this enterprise, right, the stuff that they strip from us, we know they teach us this game. Now we're teaching each other the game, right? And when we start to really get into industry, the collective needs to surround each other, because that mentality shift was already hard enough to create, right? But once we do it and we start getting people who are into it, now we all act as one collective. Of course, we know a lot of people in the restaurant game who want to source from Black farmers, but there's no central point to go to. Right now, there's no central point to go to. As if you're talking to the rancher, you have that good relationship, then maybe I'll source my beef from them. You know, so I think this is an opportunity. This is a prime example and an opportunity to change that methodology and change the game for the next years to come. Sorry, I know you got a statement and a question. Sorry, you know I can get going.
No, it's fine. Hey, Corey, I got a quick question, and you may or may not have the answer for it, but do you know anybody in the fish processing arena? So the aquaculture fish processing arena?
Great question.
Yeah, let me give you a telephone number right now. So we can do it.
We can barely hear you there, Corey, but
I'm gonna give you a number to a guy in South Georgia that probably can help you do that.
All right.
Let's see. His name is Willie Cooper.
Is it Cooper or Hooper?
Cooper, Cooper.
Yeah.
And his number is 229-591-7579.
Okay. And are you familiar with him in terms of like a personal relationship or just association?
Well, I used to represent him, and here's a brother that's he can ship overseas and everything else, but the same thing I talked about earlier. He's in a system. He was too smart for his time, and by him being black, they didn't like it. I mean, when you talk to him, he's very knowledgeable about what he's doing. But I did have a conversation with him because we were talking about some chicken, but I remember him saying something about processing fish. I think he just got a warehouse down in Georgia or around Columbus that was 60,000 square feet maybe for processing and some other stuff. So, but he did say something about fish and processing fish. So that's all I got for you on that.
Yes, sir.
Right. Well, I might have to bring him on as a special speaker then.
I got a quick question. I got a quick tidbit I want to throw with his fish idea. When everybody finishes up, I'm gonna send it to John. There's a greenhouse crew down here in Houston, 12,000 square feet. They sell lettuce all over the Southeast. My frat brother in Arizona couldn't figure out why his college was getting eaten up. He was doing aquaponics. That guy in Houston is using tilapia in a separate setup. So if you're interested in that fish, you can team up with your aquaponics because those folks ship lettuce to like every state in the South. And you could get with somebody that wants to do aquaponics. You could sell your fish and then rent your space out because all they're doing is using the fish waste as cheap fertilizer.
Right.
Yeah, Joe, that's actually my specialty, the aquaponics side. So that,
okay.
That was sort of a segue from my question in terms of where can we get black folk to process the fish that I grow aquaponically, right?
Processing is a really important issue for us to try to tackle. I don't know if we tackle it on this call or, I mean, I'm on the cotton commodity side, so processing is the ginning and the spinning of that is really, it's an issue. We need to have more black processors. Sorry, Bridget, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Call that Scott family in Mississippi and follow their father's model.
Okay. There you go, Gary.
Scott? Can you put that in the chat for me?
I'm on the cell phone. I ain't that savvy, man. I got butterfingers.
Come on.
I tell you what. Quinn's got your information because I talked to you with Gabriel and Brian. What I will do is I will get their information because the family runs the farm now. Their father went to the co-op. They wouldn't give him stock, so he created his own processing. So we'll go from there. He gave black folks a job that needed a job in Mississippi. So I'll get with you, work something out. Again, that's when the numbers come into play. I got a guy trying to get back to A&M, Prairie View. He's a meat science professor. So I'm sending my guys to him for butchering, but I'll find somebody that knows about it here because I call that brother in North Carolina does the fish, them tanks. He told me the guy was right here next door to me in Weatherford. So I'll start looking around, see what I find about processing and shoot it your way. And then that way you can start it. Hey, if people need a job, it's a job.
I'm telling you. And a lot of that value added stuff. I'm going to stop recording here just because I know we're probably going to get into more collective discussion, that kind of thing. And what I wanted to know is how, if we know we need processing, and I've heard this statement consistently, either, on the cattle side, you hear Gabe talking about on the fish side, there's some processing on the other commodity side. Is there something we can think about with respect to a co-op that just focuses on processing of these different things for Black farmers? And then you think that could be something we can have as a value-added thing, John? I mean, I just hear it consistently as an issue. And one thing that will keep us out the game is that processing piece sometimes. So how could we think about that as a collective? And we don't have to solve it here tonight. It just seems to be an issue.
Yeah, some of the opportunities that exist, especially with the with the value-added piece, that, you know, once you know what it is that you're trying to do, that's the main thing. As my big brother always taught me, knowing is half the battle. So once you know what it is that you're trying to do, then it's easy to go out there and get the funds and stuff that you need to do that, because you know what you're trying